Hey, it's Dr. Ernst, host of the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. If you have high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, triglycerides, a palpitation, or an arrhythmia, why don't you download my Heart Disease Heal Thyself ebook? It contains all of the myths that we've been told for years about saturated fats, sugar, triglycerides, cholesterols, and it gives you a step-by-step approach to resetting blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, and even arrhythmias naturally. You can grab it right now by texting the word HEART plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. And as a bonus, I'm inviting you to my Masterclass. It's an online live event, Heart Disease Heal Thyself. I will show you the tests that your doctors are not running, that you can even do yourself to find the underlying root cause of your cardiovascular health issues. It's Saturday, October 18th at 10 a.m. in the morning, 100% free. We just need to know if you want to fix your heart naturally. Text the word HEART plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. That's 704-906-2094.
Would you like to experience a better night's sleep? Want to feel well rested and ready for your day? Discover an amazing solution with Celient Sleep Recovery. Our Celient Sleep Recovery products are made from a patented yarn embedded with a blend of 13 infrared active minerals. Celient technology never washes out. The benefits will last for their entire lifespan. Minerals reflect the body's own energy by using Celient infrared active technology, boosting your oxygen levels and improving circulation to reach REM sleep gracefully. Our customers love to comfortably sleep throughout the night because of Celient. We've conducted 9 independent clinical studies by well-respected scientific institutions and universities that prove the many positive effects Celient has on the body. Our technology is designed to help you achieve a refreshing sleep recovery. Get into bed to experience our smooth Celient Egyptian cotton blend sheets. Protect your mattress against the sands of time with our Celient mattress protectors. With our pillow protectors, you get the benefits of our recovery therapy. Explore new places and feel well rested throughout your journeys. Discover luxurious support that allows you to sleep in almost any position. Neck blankets are small and compact. You can bring them with you just about anywhere. Experience the foundation your body deserves. Start waking up refreshed and always ready for the day ahead. It's time to achieve the best sleep of your life to unlock your hidden potential. Start experiencing a better night's sleep with our Celient Sleep Recovery products today. Celient. Recycle your body's energy.
Beyond wine, we really care about health. The health of the planet and the health of each other. That's what inspired us to start this business. Our family of team members meets every morning for a group meditation, followed by an open gratitude session. We believe a sound mind with a focus on peace is the best instrument for change. Joint meditation is the cornerstone of our company culture, and it helps us remember what's important, spreading joy and love, just like our family growers. Our family is a collection of passionate, health-conscious individuals who love to laugh and enjoy each other's company. We eat seasonally, grow our own vegetables, cook together, and share wine. Our team is incredibly dedicated to our mission. Everything from sourcing the wines to answering service questions. Your natural wines are found and sourced around the world by our wine team. They taste every one, oversee their lab testing, and choose exactly which ones go in which box. If you order, your individual box will be packed by our incredibly hardworking fulfillment team. If you have any questions, your service requests will be handled by a wonderfully loving member experience family who only have one goal in mind, your 100% happiness. This video is put together by our talented media team, filmed and edited in-house, just like the rest of our artful media. From our unique creations to our printed lifestyle piece called A Matter of Taste. We put love into everything we do, and we hope to share it with you.
Hey, good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. My name is Dr. Aaron Ernst, and this is a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you get to be set free from your health problems when you become your own doctor. Today, we're going to expose one of the greatest medical blind spots of our time, the truth about heart disease. Did you know that every year, nearly 700,000 Americans die from heart-related conditions, and despite record numbers of prescriptions and surgeries and even cholesterol-lowering drugs, yet the fact that we have all of that, our nation is sicker than ever before. So the question that I have for today is, are we treating this top killer? And if we are, why are the numbers climbing? And the answer, I think, is both simple and shocking. In my opinion, we're fighting the wrong enemy. Conventional cardiology has often blamed cholesterol as being the root cause of heart disease for now 50 plus years, but we know cholesterol isn't the villain. It's like a firefighter. It rushes to the scene to patch and protect and get rid of the damage that is caused by something far more sinister, which is the entire topic of our show today, cardiac toxicity. What if your high blood pressure isn't genetics and isn't your diet or your age, but it has to do with underlying hidden poisons in our environment, in our food, even within our entire metabolism, that are silently corroding our arteries and stiffening our vessels and suffocating our heart cells? So this show today, just so you know, is about exposing these toxins. What are they? How do they work? Where do they come from? And what can you do to get rid of them right now? And there's an entire portion of I'll call it resources and availabilities for you within the Heart Disease Heal Thyself ebook. We've been giving this away for the past 2 or 3 weeks now. Over 1,000 individuals have downloaded this ebook here in the local Charlotte area. We have over 1,000 registered for my Heart Heal Thyself Masterclass, which, by the way, is next Saturday. If you are looking for a way out, blood pressure, cholesterol issues, palpitations, arrhythmias, if you have a heart health issue and you want to break free from the medical merry-go-round of diagnoses and prescriptions and constant fear and worry, text the word HEART plus your name and email right now to 704-906-2094. We'll shoot the ebook to you today, which explains the root causes of heart disease, including toxicity, and gives you tips and steps so you can start to heal your heart now. To do that, again, text the word HEART plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Hey, listen, when I say the word toxin, I'm not talking about some sort of a vague wellness language. I'm talking about measurable biochemicals. Ready for this? Glyphosate, heavy metals like lead and cadmium, metabolic acids like homocysteine, and even gut-derived toxins like TMAO. Each one of these is known to have negative cardiovascular effects, and yet, despite each one of these being published in peer-review evidence linking it directly to cardiovascular damage, almost none of them are ever tested for in routine blood work and are rarely discussed during a classic cardiological visit. So as you know, holistic healthcare, functional medicine seeks to look at your body differently. We see disease like cardiovascular disease not as a lack of you being deficient in medications, but instead it's a surplus of interferences. When your body is burdened with chemicals, it loses coherence. The cells stop communicating, the mitochondria slow down, inflammation sets in, and the heart's electrical rhythm can actually begin to falter. You remove these interferences, and the system, the actual cardiovascular system, can restore itself and return it back to normal. This is what is known as the functional foundations of cardiology. And I say functional cardiology, not conventional. So the irony is that our ancestors, ready for this, who ate unprocessed foods, drank mineral-rich water, and lived close to nature, almost had absolutely no coronary artery disease. Did you know that autopsies of Egyptian mummies and even early native populations showed clean and clear arteries free of plaque? Yet today, kids even as young as 10 years old are now starting to show early signs of calcification and stenosis. This epidemic is not a genetic issue. It is, in my opinion, an environmental issue. So in today's show, we're going to dive into the top 4 players. First, glyphosate, a weed killer that's in our food that's also killing our mitochondria. Second, homocysteine, a metabolic acid that if it's elevated, it physically eats away at the arteries within your heart and your body. Third, lead and cadmium, metabolic poisons that not only harden the heart, but disrupt the electrical conductivity, leading to palpitations and arrhythmias, and I'll call it like electrical defects of the heart. And finally, TMAO, a gut-derived molecule that has been wrongly blamed as to why red meat supposedly causes heart disease, when in fact, it's a root of dysbiosis and a production of this molecule called TMAO. Each of these toxins tell a story. Glyphosate enters our food through the food supplies. Homocysteine is generated when a process known as methylation breaks down within your body. Metals accumulate because of exposures over time. And TMAO elevates because of us eating corn-fed animal proteins and having dysbiosis in our gut. So together they make a perfect storm, if you will. An internal chemical warfare that medicine keeps labeling as cholesterol elevations or cardiovascular disease. Today, I'm not only going to describe how each of these toxins damages your cardiovascular system, but we're going to physically reference published studies, journals, their date, their title, so you can hear during our show today the clear science. My goal is not to create fear. Instead, it's to create empowerment, because one of you out there needs this information. There are so many people today taking medications, covering up their masking symptoms, but when you understand the root cause, you can reverse it. When you remove poisons and you restore cellular integrity, your heart can heal itself. And listen, this is not speculation. It's basic human physiology. Your arteries regenerate their linings internally every few months. Did you know that? Your red blood cells turn over every 120 days. So you physically get an entire new oil change, if you will. All the red blood cells in your body, every 120 days, you're regenerating and recycling. Your mitochondria replicate every single day. Your body is always rebuilding, so we just need to simply stop poisoning the construction site of repair. So today, we're going to begin. And perhaps, again, the most widespread heart toxin issue is the stuff we get through our diet and how our foods, because of this glyphosate toxicity, are literally destroying our heart. And again, if you're looking for more information and you're going, hey, listen, I get that. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I want answers. I want to know, how do I get out of it? Right now, text the word heart plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. My Heart Disease Heal Thyself ebook is yours free next Saturday, 10 a.m. in the morning. Join us for an online live event. We'll show you how to identify what toxins do you have, how to eliminate them, how to see if there's underlying root issues of neurological interference or leaky gut, which is known to cause cardiovascular issues. Simply text the word heart plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Boom, the ebook is yours free. The Masterclass is yours free. And you get to then break free from the issues of cardiovascular disarray. Okay, number 1, the hidden herbicide that's physically breaking down your heart, glyphosate. Better known as Roundup, it's sprayed on roughly 75% of all U.S.-based crops. It's not only on genetically modified corn and soy, but it is also used as what's called a pre-harvest drying agent. It's sprayed onto wheat and oats and even legumes. This means that non-genetically modified foods, even some non-GMO foods, still carry glyphosate residues. Studies from the Center for Disease Control show that 80% of Americans today, when urinating, are testing positive for having glyphosate in their body. According to a 2023 study titled Glyphosate Exposure and Atherosclerotic Cardiovascular Disease in the United States, listen to this, researchers found that individuals with high levels of urinary glyphosate had significantly elevated cardiovascular scores, including arterial stenosis, stiffness, and hypertension. The study concluded this: glyphosate exposure, even at safe levels, was associated with measurable damage to your cardiovascular system. And glyphosate's original patent wasn't as an herbicide, it was as a metal chelator. So in other words, it binds minerals like magnesium and manganese and zinc and cobalt, all of these which are essential for global cardiovascular health, proper beat and rhythm, and the repair of the lining of your arteries. So here's what happened. When glyphosate gets into your blood, it robs your cells of these minerals, leaving your heart electrically unstable and physically metabolically starved. It's like it sucks the nutrition out of your body. A 2002 paper published in the Journal of Public Health and Emergency titled, ready for this, Glyphosate and Cardiovascular Disease, the Mechanisms and the Epidemiological Evidence, shows that glyphosate exposure leads to high levels of oxidative stress, mitochondrial injury, apoptosis, or cellular death, specifically in the cardiovascular tissue. Research noted that animals that were exposed to glyphosate developed myocardial inflammation and fibrosis, which are both the precursors for congestive heart failure. One of the studies and the reasons why glyphosate is so damaging is because it disrupts what's called the shikimate pathway. And I know what you might be thinking, like, Dr. Ernst, it's Saturday afternoon, you're dropping like research left and right, you're dropping phrases like shikimate. How am I supposed to understand this? It is the pathway that is responsible for you to produce amino acids that you cannot live without. Tryptophan and tyrosine, for example. Bacteria and pesticides and other, bugs have this pathway called the shikimate pathway. Humans do not have this pathway. However, the bacteria in your gut do. So when glyphosate levels are high, it physically destroys the bacteria in your gut. So we lose the ability to synthesize precursors for things like serotonin and dopamine, which leads to systemic inflammation and has been shown to directly affect your heart. Hey, in May of 2023, in the study called Chemosphere, there was a published article titled Glyphosate-Induced Cardiotoxicity in Zebrafish Embryos and Mitochondrial Dysfunction and Stress. They showed that even at low levels of glyphosate, it causes the mitochondria to swell, meaning there's less electrical conductivity across the tissue. And because your heart has a tremendous amount of mitochondria, the authors concluded that environmental exposures to glyphosate can directly compromise heart cell energy productivity, which again is a foundation of cardiovascular health. What happens is glyphosate's structure, like its chemical makeup, mimics glycine, one of the most common amino acids found in collagen. So when glyphosate is substituted for glycine, it disrupts protein synthesis. It weakens the collagen that is supposed to hold the arteries and the valves and the connective tissues together in your heart. This is what's known as the molecular substitution theory, and it explains why we're starting to see more and more people have aneurysms and arterial fragility and tearing of vessels and prolapses of valves in their hearts. It's as if the tissue is becoming weak and starting to spread apart because the molecule glyphosate is being replaced for glycine in the collagen structure, and it doesn't hold itself together. So detoxifying from glyphosate begins with just simply removing your exposure. Number one, we want you to eat nothing but organic food products. If you're going to do this properly, you have to avoid corn and wheat and soy and rice and oats because they're heavily sprayed, including things like beans. To support your body's detox pathways, your liver, your kidney, and your gut need to be activated so we can start cleaning them out with things like activated charcoals or bentonite clays or even fulvic humeric acid complexes, which, by the way, have been shown to capture glyphosate in the gut and help you to eliminate it. If we support mineral depletion by giving you magnesium, zinc, trace minerals, then what happens is your body starts to repair what glyphosate has depleted. Repair your microbiome, restore fiber back into your diet, use sauna therapies, hydration techniques. Remember, glyphosate doesn't just poison plants, it poisons the soil of your gut, which is the bacteria in your intestines. So now that you understand glyphosate's role in cardiovascular toxicity, it depletes you of minerals we need for the heart to physically contract and beat properly. It destroys the mitochondria, which gives your heart energy, and it can damage the lining of the tissues, which is why we see elevated calcium and elevated cholesterol. Let's transition this now into another silent toxin that's floating around for a lot of you in elevations called homocysteine. And when this amino acid starts to elevate, it literally etches small microscopic cracks within the vessels of your arteries. Homocysteine is the second hidden acid that starts to affect your body. It's a sulfur-containing compound that's produced naturally as your body metabolizes methionine, an amino acid that is found in many food proteins that you eat. Under healthy conditions, your liver will convert homocysteine into harmless downstream components using a process known as methylation. You've probably heard of this. All these online gurus and health masters are talking about MTHFR, the genetic mutation that can destroy cardiovascular health, because when you methylate properly, you remove homocysteine. So when methylation is sluggish, homocysteine levels build up, and that molecule, homocysteine, is physically corrosive to your heart and the vessels of your body. Elevated homocysteine, what is known as, ready for this, there's an actual medical term for it, hyperhomocysteinemia, is one of the most powerful independent risk factors. What I mean by that is this: if your homocysteine levels are elevating, we know by biomechanical chemistry that you're already starting to form cardiovascular disease. Even if your vessels are clear, you pass an echo, you have a perfect cardiovascular health test. According to a recent study, guys, this is like from last year, April 2024, the BMC Cardiovascular Disorders Journal titled an article, Elevated Plasma Homocysteine and Risk Factors of Cardiovascular Disease in U.S. Adults. Ready for this? The researchers found that for every 5 micromole per liter increase, so if your homocysteine goes from 6 to 11 or from 11 to 16, if it goes up by 5 points, there was proportional elevations in cardiovascular disease. The higher your homocysteine, the more likely you are to have cardiovascular disease. In February of 2023, the European Heart Journal put out a study titled Homocysteine and Cardiovascular Artery Disease, where they analyzed 10,000 participants and concluded homocysteine directly damages endothelial cells, promotes plaque formation and instability, and increases your likelihood of having thrombosis, which means throwing a clot. The authors, they emphasized that even a slightly elevated homocysteine had significant cardiovascular events. Here's how this works. Homocysteine acts like an acid that physically scratches the internal linings of your arteries. It creates microscopic nicks or cuts. Your body responds to those lesions, those cuts, by elevating cholesterol and fibrin, which causes a plaque to form in the vessel. And this has unfortunately been labeled as cholesterol disease. In truth, cholesterol is trying to react to the inflammation and the damage of the homocysteine nicking the artery in the first place. Homocysteine also shuts off nitric oxide, which is a molecule that makes your arteries loose and more flexible. Without nitric oxide, your vessels constrict, blood pressure goes up, oxygen delivery is diminished, and this cascade can start to elevate, leading to things like hypercholesterolemia, elevated blood cholesterols, hypertension, even chest pain. And at the same time, here's the challenge. Homocysteine by itself also oxidizes LDL cholesterol, which means it converts to the sticky, inflammatory kind of cholesterol that sticks to your vessel walls. In 2022, in a journal called Atherosclerosis, there was a published article, Homocysteine-Induced Endothelial Dysfunction. Let's translate it. Homocysteine damages your arteries. The study demonstrated that elevated homocysteine can make hydrogen peroxide and superoxide free radicals physically damage the lining of the vessels of your heart. The study confirmed that oxidative stress, not cholesterol, is the irritating factor behind atherosclerosis. So why do homocysteine levels elevate in most of us? Deficiency in methylated B vitamins. So you're taking a B vitamin, but they're not pre-methylated. Or you have a genetic SNP of what's known as the MTHFR gene, which shuts off the ability for your body to efficiently recycle homocysteine. And I've seen by testing this that nearly 80% of people that we test have a deficiency in their methylation, which is an enzymatic process of removing homocysteine and activating B vitamins. So I urge you heavily to start supplementing with methylated B vitamins, methylcobalamin, methyl tetrahydrofolate, trimethylglycine, which is also known as betaine, is naturally found in beets, and it is why beet juice and beet extracts have such great cardiovascular effects. So when you repair homocysteine by fixing methylation, blood pressure can stabilize, cholesterol levels can reset, energy levels can improve, and you've restored what's called metabolic balance. So now that we've explored how glyphosate attacks you from the outside and homocysteine is attacking you from the inside, we have to recognize that's just 2 cardiac toxins. There's more. We have to talk about cadmium and lead, and we have to talk about what's called gut-derived TMAO, which the research is saying, just like glyphosate and homocysteine, is a precursor for cardiovascular disease. Remember, heart disease is not a genetic or a cholesterol problem. It's not a deficiency in statins. What it is possibly a toxic overload. Glyphosate, the so-called harmless weed killer, can bind minerals, destroy your gut bacteria, and slowly starve your heart of the electrical health and the metabolic energy that it needs. Homocysteine is an amino acid that can be floating around in your blood, nicking little tiny, I'll call them cuts or scratches into the lining of your arteries, creating inflammation and thus inviting cholesterol to show up. But again, remember the truth. Cholesterol is not the criminal. It's the cleanup crew. It's your body's patchwork response to the in-working toxicities that's going on. Once you stop the chemical assaults, your body is designed to do what it can do, and it heals and repairs. So think about this. Your heart cells replace themselves every few weeks. The endothelial lining of all the vessels of your heart and your body regenerate every 90 days. So you were created with a built-in renewal cleanup pattern. All it needs to do is clean the environment. If you remove the interference, your vessels and your heart can actually regenerate over time. So if you've been told that heart disease is a genetic condition or it's inevitable, it's time to change that belief. Think of genes as like a loaded gun, but it's the environment that physically pulls the trigger, and toxicity is the finger doing that. So when we come back after this next commercial break, we're going to go into the 2 even more insidious cardiovascular toxins, lead and cadmium and TMAO, but now's your chance to register for the Heart Disease Heal Thyself Masterclass next Saturday, the 18th, 10 a.m. in the morning. It's free, and download and grab our Heart Disease Heal Thyself ebook. If you're looking for a way to finally answer that question of how do I get my blood pressure under control and do it naturally? Well, detox is a part of it. How do I get my cholesterol levels to reset without having to push a statin? Detox is a part of that. How do I get my rhythm and my rate and my heart to just become stronger and healthier? Regeneration of the heart is needed. And again, detox is a part of that. So we're going to talk about how do you physically detox your heart? That's next Saturday at 10 a.m. The ebook will lay out the groundwork for you so you'll be ready. And I highly encourage you, pick up the phone and text the word heart plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Do it right now. And again, as we come back from the commercial break, part 2 of cardiac toxins that are irritating your heart, leading to the cause of America's #1 cause of death, heart disease. Let's solve it naturally. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey, it's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show, 704-906-2094. Again, text your name, your email, the word heart for the free ebook, and we'll join the masterclass next Saturday at 10 a.m. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. more antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%, reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
And what if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind: how can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Wine is a fermented beverage that has been enjoyed by humanity for over 8,000 years. Our ancestors believed in its magical healing powers. Wine has been a well-studied part of our history, but recently it's changed. The wines sold today in most stores and restaurants are not the same wines enjoyed by our ancestors. Today, wine is a highly processed, factory-made product filled with toxins and industrial additives. The grapes are farmed with machines and heavy pesticide use, and the marketing is misleading and dishonest. Wines free from this human intervention still exist. They're called natural wines. These wines are a return to the old way of making and enjoying wine. Free from commercial additives, high sugar, and heavy alcohol content, these wines are a beautiful expression of nature. They're also extremely rare. Less than 1% of the world's wines are grown to this standard. They are made in hyper-small quantities by family farmers who work by hand using ancient practices. This is the kind of wine that derive from wine sources. We search the globe looking for pure natural wines, carefully nurtured by family growers who work with nature, and we take it a step further, sourcing wines that meet our strict criteria for farming, purity, and taste. We only work with organically grown wines, farmed without irrigation and without heavy machinery. Grapes are hand-picked and then fermented using native wild yeast, not the industry standard GMO yeasts. Our wines are pure, lab-tested by an independent enologist for metrics including alcohol and sugar. They also taste extraordinary, bright, fresh, and full of life. They jump out of the glass because they aren't sterilized or heavily processed.
Hey, good afternoon. Happy Saturday. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. My name is Dr. Aaron Ernst, and this is a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you get to be set free from your health problems when you become educated as to their underlying functional root cause. If you're just joining us, our show today is called A Toxic Heart, Exposing the Hidden Poisons that are causing America's #1 killer. Hey, in the first half of the program, we peeled back the curtain against two silent sabotagers of your health, cardiovascularly. Number one, glyphosate. Number two, homocysteine. We exposed how glyphosate, the world's most common weed killer, is killing more than just weeds. It's physically chelating metals and minerals out of your heart, poisoning your mitochondria, and can physically damage the endothelial lining of the arteries of your heart and your body. Then we dove into how homocysteine, which is a byproduct of protein metabolism, when left unchecked, can become a corrosive acid that literally etches away the lining of the internal portions of your arteries from the inside out. These are not fringe theories. These are documented biochemical truths that are supported by peer-reviewed research and science. We gave all the references in all the articles before, and just know this, the real epidemic in America, in my opinion, is a lack of information behind the root cause. We know toxicity affects human health, but did you know that these specific toxins can be the reason that your cholesterol is elevated, your blood pressure is high, your triglycerides are off balance, you have a palpitation, an arrhythmia, or some sort of a cardiovascular health issue? And when you remove the toxins, your body is innately designed to repair and regenerate. So in the second half of the show today, we're going to go deeper into many toxins that cardiologists never talk about. We're going to look at heavy metals, specifically lead and cadmium, which are industrial residues that can lodge themselves inside the arteries of your heart, mimicking calcium and creating stiffness and calcification. Then we're going to uncover the truth behind this newer molecule called TMAO, trimethylamine nitric oxide, which has been blamed as to why meat causes heart disease. And finally, we're going to walk you through a functional detox roadmap, which will give you the steps that you can use to start clearing all of these toxins and reclaim your heart health quickly. As we talked about at the top of the hour, we've been giving away the Heart Disease Heal Thyself ebook. It's a functional guide to helping you solve high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, palpitations, arrhythmias. It's free for you listening today. And next Saturday, you can join over 1,000 people that are currently registered for our Heart Disease Heal Thyself Masterclass. It's an online live event where I will take you through the top 3 functional causes. We'll show you what tests you need to get so you can find out what the root issue is and how you can fix that naturally. Simply text the word HEART plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. My team will send the ebook to you. We'll get you registered for the event next Saturday at 10 a.m. It's all 100% free. So today you're about to learn why detoxification, not medication, is the missing link for your heart health. You'll hear how metals and chemicals and even microbes from the unseen foundation, if you will, of how your body repairs itself is the real crisis. And more importantly, you're going to find out today, what can you do to start taking back your health? What are the steps necessary to remove these toxins? Okay, toxin number 3, heavy metals, lead and cadmium. We'll call it the metallic assassins of your heart. I'd like to turn to this group because they have been affecting Americans for at least a century or more. Heavy metals, the two that stand out most destructive for cardiovascular disease is lead and cadmium. You can think of them as industrial metals that should never even exist in the human body, but they've been embedded into things that we use, pipes and paints and fertilizers, and unfortunately, even tobacco and cigarette products. You won't see them, you won't taste them, you won't smell them, but the second they get into your body, they can stay for decades. So often they start building up in your bones and your tissues. And ready for this? Yes, your heart can actually be a reservoir for heavy metals. According to a 2021 review published in the Environmental Health Perspectives Journal, it was titled Heavy Metal Exposure and Cardiovascular Disease, Mechanisms of the Epidemiological Evidence. Researchers, ready for this, have concluded that both lead and cadmium exposure, and I'm going to read this word for word, were, ready for this, quote, significantly independent predictors of hypertension, coronary artery disease, and cardiovascular mortality, end quote. The study shows that even low-level exposures, far below what the environmental protection agencies and the government say is safe, physically doubles your risk of having cardiovascular disease and dying from a heart-related event. Significant precursors. What does that mean? It means you have evidence of lead and cadmium exposure. And guys, there's ways to test for this today. Super easy. A hair test can give you a breakdown of all toxic metals. If you're testing positive for lead and cadmium, it precedes coronary artery disease. So if you already have some heart diagnosis and you have the lead and the cadmium evident, it's an indication that that years ago was a root reason and a cause. Lead exposure typically today comes from the old infrastructures of the American construction eras. Aging water pipes, lead-based paints, contaminated soils. It replaces calcium inside the heart muscles. So think of it this way. Your body is going to put calcium inside the heart when lead levels are high. It disrupts the contraction and the electrical rhythm of the heart. So this is what can lead to palpitations and arrhythmias. Cadmium, on the other hand, typically comes through cigarette smoke, car exhaust, airplane exhaust, phosphate-based fertilizers. Once absorbed, cadmium acts a lot like zinc, thus displacing zinc, and it makes the enzymes that protect your heart from oxidative damage not work. So what's the effect? Hardened arteries and inflamed vessels. In 2020, there was a study in the Journal of American Heart Association that was titled Blood Lead Levels and Risk for Cardiovascular Mortality in U.S. Adults. So they're saying, with the amount of metal you have, what's the likelihood of you dying from a cardiovascular event? They found that people with elevated lead levels just above 2 micrograms, ready, had a 37% risk of higher death from cardiovascular disease. The author said it is a potent vascular toxin, noting that it damages the endothelial cells, it promotes smooth muscle damage, and it increases inflammation. That's just lead. In 2022, the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health published a study titled Cadmium Exposure and Cardiovascular Disease. After taking 330,000 people, the authors reported that those that had the highest cadmium exposure had a 58% increased risk of having heart disease and or strokes. Cadmium tends to build in the aorta and the tissues of the heart, which interferes again with nitric oxide production, and it makes the vessels very constrictive, so blood pressure goes up through the roof. Both of the metals wreak havoc on mitochondrial function. In 2023, Toxicological Reports had a study published lead and cadmium induced mitochondrial dysfunction on cardiac cells. They revealed that exposure to these two metals suppressed mitochondrial enzymes, shut off energy productivity, and reduced active oxygen, which is, by the way, the very definition of oxidative stress. Your heart needs energy to beat, and if you have cardiac toxins in the heavy metal category, it doesn't work. And the other issue is, of course, these metals can remain inside of your body for years, sometimes 20, 30, 40. Lead often stores itself in bones. Cadmium can also accumulate in your kidneys and your heart. Every time you detox your body, you're getting rid of these metals, and it helps you to have healthier cardiovascular function. So how do we get them out? Okay, number one, we have to stop the exposure. Today, specifically, we have to start recognizing our water is one of the main sources of heavy metal toxins. Using reverse osmosis or even multi-stage heavy metal carbon-based filters today is an absolute must. We have to watch out for smoking, which elevates cadmium levels, even secondhand smoke. we need to make sure that we're eating foods that don't use traditional phosphate-based fertilizers. Step number 2, we've got to get this stuff out. We have to chelate it from your body. There are natural chelators, chlorella, which is a microgreen algae, cilantro, even modified citrus pectin can do that. So, can we use these things to pull them out and get them out through our body? Yes. If you want to be a little more, I'll call it therapeutic, work with a functional physician, get heavy metal testing done, and do something called EDTA chelation. Why? Listen to a 2013 study published in the Journal of American Medical Association. The effects of disodium EDTA chelation on cardiovascular events. The study showed that chelation therapy significantly reduced cardiovascular events in post-heart attack patients. The findings were so strong that a second trial is being currently launched to explore, can EDTA chelation actually remove metals and lighten the toxic load of your heart? I believe the answer is yes, because it's going to help you to get rid of heavy metals. So now that we've explored industrial toxins, I want to turn our attention now to a toxin that has been blamed for why red meat causes cardiovascular disease. So if you've ever heard the old mantra that if you eat a lot of red meat, it's going to make your cholesterol elevate, and it's going to stiffen your arteries, and it's going to damage your heart. What we now know today is now that's TMAO, not red meats. TMAO stands for trimethylamine nitric oxide. It is a compound that is produced when your gut bacteria metabolizes carnitine and choline. We need carnitine and choline for brain health, liver health, and fatty acid metabolism. The problem is that when your microbiome is out of balance and the gut is overrun by dysbiotic bacteria, instead of producing those healthy nutrients, it overproduces TMA, trimethylamine, that your liver will turn into TMAO. And in 2023, there was a journal published in the Frontiers of Cardiovascular Medicine. The title was Trimethylamine Nitric Oxide and Adverse Cardiovascular Events. Okay, listen to this. 21 different clinical studies were done and found that people with high levels of TMAO had a 1.6 increased risk of cardiovascular events, heart attacks, strokes, even dying from a cardiovascular event. The authors emphasize that TMAO is mediated by your gut bacteria. So they're not saying it's the red meat you eat. They're saying it's what your gut does to those. What we now know today is highly processed corn-fed red meat turns into TMAO faster than if it's grass-finished, clean proteins, especially red meats. The American Journal of Hypertension published a study showing TMAO and hypertension, watch this, how the gut bacteria regulate your blood pressure. So this is profound. If you're someone listening today and your blood pressure is elevated and you've been trying everything you can do to lower it, we may need to have you start looking at your TMAO levels, so simple blood test, and what's going on in your gut. The study found that if you had high levels of TMAO, it increased vascular stiffness and elevated blood pressure. And the patients were people who didn't even know they had elevated levels of TMAO. So in other words, the problem is not the red meat, it's the state of your gut and the state that that meat was fed. If a cow is fed grains and corn and soy, it's highly inflamed. The carnitine and choline levels start to climb. Dysbiosis in your intestines converts it into TMAO, and it leads to inflammation of your heart. It's the state of your gut. In 2022, there was a study published in the journal Nature Communications that was titled Microbiome-Derived TMAO Links Gut Dysbiosis to Atherosclerosis in Humans and also mice. They showed that transferring gut bacteria from high TMAO individuals to those who didn't have high TMAO induced arterial plaque formation, even without changes in the diet. This is proof that the bacteria in your gut, not red meat by itself exclusively, is what determines the TMAO toxicity. Here's what TMAO does. It increases platelet stickiness. It promotes foam cell formation, which will oxidize cholesterol. It reduces the ability for you to pull cholesterol out of your arteries. It also activates two very well-known inflammatory pathways, NF-kappa B and NLRP3. Don't get caught up in the terminology of it. Just know this. It makes you more inflamed. These are the mechanisms that drive chronic inflammation. We know cardiovascular disease is a chronic inflammatory disorder. So if we reduce the inflammation, your heart becomes healthier. In 2023, the journal Circulation Research had an article published called TMAO and it accelerating arterial stiffness and endothelial dysfunction. Let me see if I can translate this for you. The more TMAO you have, the harder your arteries are, and the more damage there are to those arteries. The studies found that TMAO directly shuts off nitric oxide synthesis, which makes the vessels of your heart stiff and increases oxidation. They observed that you will typically find harder arteries in people with high TMAO levels. So here's the insight. TMAO itself is not a symptom. It's not a cause. When you restore the gut bacteria, TMAO levels go down. So what's causing the cardiovascular effects with red meat? It's your gut. If you have dysbiosis or leaky gut and you eat lots of corn-fed red meats, boom, TMAO goes up and the TMAO affects your heart. So notice though again, what's causing the TMAO elevation is the dysbiosis and the leak in your gut. Because almost every single human that I have tested in our clinics fails a leaky gut test. It means that if you're taking a medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, palpitations, arrhythmias, you have an extremely high likelihood that you have a dysbiosis that needs to be addressed. Rebalancing your gut bacteria, well, it begins by removing foods that create inflammation. And unfortunately, it's everything you want to eat. It's the bread products, it's the oatmeal, it's the seed oils, canola and corn and refined sugars. What we need to do is start reintroducing more ancestral foods. The fats that you've been told cause cardiovascular disease, like butter and lard, are actually really good for you. They decrease inflammation. We need to eat clean proteins. There's a massive difference between grass-fed red meats and corn-fed red meats. Massive. If you have dysbiosis and you're eating corn-fed products, TMAO levels shoot up through the roof. Without dysbiosis, you can eat clean red meat products, beef and buffalo and venison and bison, etc., and your body doesn't produce the elevations in TMAO. You can reduce TMAO by using certain compounds. Okay, ready for this? Number one, resveratrol. It's been shown to reduce TMAO. Berberine reduces TMAO. Green tea polyphenols, so drinking green tea and using the green tea extracts. They inhibit the enzymes in your gut bacteria that convert carnitine and choline into TMAO. In 2022, there was a study done in the journal Nutrients that showed dietary polyphenols modulate gut microbiome and suppress TMAO formation. This study confirmed that plant compounds can actually lower circulating TMAO by as much as 40%. So this is where we use polyphenols, so resveratrol and the green tea extracts. So don't fear a red meat steak. Fear the corn-fed stuff. Go after the grass-fed meats. Work on restoring the intestinal lining. And by the way, on the Masterclass that I'm hosting next Saturday, the 18th, I will take you through a step-by-step process of how to get your gut lining assessed to find out A, is it leaking? B, is it bacterial, fungal, parasitic, or yeast? So you know then what to do to repair it and how you can undo the damage of a gut leak and reestablish your microbiome. It's completely free for you to grab this information. All you have to do is just text the word HEART with your name and email to 704-906-2094. I'll send you the ebook, which is going to wet your whistle on how do you solve cardiovascular heart health issues naturally. And then you can join me for the live stream event. Guys, right now we have over 1,000 people currently saying, Dr. Ernst, I need you to help me with my heart. Why don't you hop on this event? It's a live broadcast from your house. You don't have to do anything. Just 10 a.m. in the morning, open up your computer, click a link we send you. I'll be there. We can converse. It's live. There's an open chat. Let's talk about the hard aspects that are easy to implement so you can get your health back on track again. So what is the functional roadmap for cleaning out your heart? Well, today we covered a lot. Glyphosate, homocysteines, heavy metals, and TMAO. 4 very different toxins that all share one common output. They can affect the health of your heart. Each one does it slightly differently. Remember, we talked about glyphosate damages the instruments of your heart. Homocysteine corrodes the strings of your heart, right? The vessels. Heavy metals can jam the rhythm. They disrupt the electrical conductivity. And TMAO globally affects the inflammation. Here's the truth that conventional medicine doesn't really ever talk about. Remove cardiac toxins, and your heart sings a symphonic song again in a healthy way. And your heart is not fragile. Remember, we talked about the regenerative ability, the adaptability, and the now astonishing self-healing components of your heart. Your heart contains thousands of mitochondria, and these mitochondria reproduce and restore energy flow when the environment is clean. So remember, holistic healthcare and functional medicine, we're not about managing a disease, we're about removing the interference that lets your body heal by itself. So we can begin with your food. Make sure that you're eating organic produce, and we're using pasture-raised, grass-fed proteins to eliminate glyphosate residues. Avoid eating grains and seed oils which cause inflammation. Drink filtered water so that you can decrease your exposure to lead and cadmium. Eat foods that are high in sulfur, garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables. This all supports glutathione production, which is the master detoxifier of your body. Then we got to clean out your gut. And very simply, if your microbiome is balanced, you're just recirculating toxins because they leak through, they get back into your bloodstream, and off it goes. Yes, we need to be doing, I'll call them fermented food-based probiotics. Be careful about probiotics in a pill. We need to start eating more fermented foods, kimchis and sauerkrauts and kefirs and kombuchas. Limit the amount of alcohol and sugar, which both disrupt and promote dysbiosis. Remember, your gut is your liver's right-hand man for detoxifying. So if your gut is dirty, the liver falls behind. Then we need to mobilize these toxins and get them out of you. You can begin gentle detoxification techniques. Start sweating more frequently. Exercise, infrared sauna, something that gets the sweat process going in your body. We can use binders to chelate and pull them out of your gut. Spirulina, activated charcoal, chlorella, all these kind pull toxins. You can begin intermittent fasting, which gives your liver a tremendous amount of time to start processing toxins. And you can support your liver by increasing your methylation by simply taking pre-methylated B vitamins. Because unfortunately, many of us are taking toxic, non-methylated vitamins. And don't forget about minerals. I think more than anything else, more important than multivitamins is a multimineral. Many of us are deficient in magnesium and zinc and selenium, all these trace minerals that you need to be able to remove toxins. And these minerals themselves also help your heart to have really good electrical conductivity. Without them, your heart rhythm falters. Here's the arrhythmias and the palpitations. And I know it sounds simple, but if you just start adding minerals back, you'll often see your heart responds better. And then, of course, movement is another way you can enhance your detox. Lymphatic flow depends on motion of your body and your muscles. Walk, stretch, breathe. Chiropractic adjustments are fantastic to help with this because it enhances nerve flow and even circulation. And you're going to learn next Saturday that your vagus nerve is intimately connected with your heart. And if there's interference in your vagus nerve, biomechanically and electrically, there's an interference in your heart. So if you follow this roadmap, remove toxins, restore minerals, repair your methylation, rebuild your gut, and get your spine moving again, Your labs can change, your energy can return, your heart disease can start to become something of the past. So remember, you were designed to heal. Heart disease is not your destiny. It's a toxic burden, and you have the power. Join me next Saturday for the Heart Disease Heal Thyself Masterclass. It's free. Text the word heart plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. We'll shoot the ebook to you, and I would love to see you next Saturday, not just for the show at 3 o'clock, but for the live event at 10 a.m. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.